Nice. Nailed it, first time. I don't think it was written as a quote from Ephesians chapter 2, but that's basically what Paul says there, that we are part of God's family. And as we go through August, we're looking at church values. And today, I'm so out of breath, I didn't really even move. We're looking at the value of family. All of us who are following Jesus as part of St. Matthew's are part of this bigger family. And that sense of being family should be reflected in all the ways that we are with each other. But before I kind of get any further, I just want to acknowledge that family can be a complicated word. When we say that one of our values is family, for example, we're not just saying that we only value those with 2.4 children and those that have kind of biological kids and all of that. We're saying that we value all of us being part of this bigger thing that we call family. We value single people within that. We value older people, younger people. Everybody is valued as part of the family. But we know that family can be a complicated word. It could mean lots of different things to us, depending on our own experiences. All of us have been shaped by our experience of family, for better or for worse, and most likely a bit of both. Our family of origin will have set us up with some ways of living life, some that are good and healthy, others that are a little bit broken. But God has this amazing plan to create a new family, a family of people following Jesus, a family that brings healing and restoration and life as we seek God together. And God's family is beautiful and messy. I've spent best part of the last 2 weeks camping, which means I've spent the last 2 weeks looking at a lot of grass. And close up, like in this image here, when you look at the individual blades of the grass, there are lots of blemishes and brown bits and broken bits. It's a bit broken and scruffy. But when you take a step back and you look out and put them all together, you don't see all of that. What you see is this wonderful sea of glorious green, unless you have hay fever, and then you better find a different picture for what it means to be family. But there's something that happens when we come together as the family of God. There is something beautiful about it. But let's be honest, family can also be messy. Family means we can't just do what we want when we want. We have to factor other members of the family in. Any of you who have ever tried to leave the house with a toddler will know what I'm talking about. Family members can wind each other up, and not always in a good way. I'm really aware that for some of us in this room, your experience of family will have been a bit more mess and a little less beauty. And this, therefore, is an area where you might be looking for God's healing and restoration. If that's you, you are welcome here as we seek to live as God's family in all of its beautiful, messy reality. The Bible reading that Gareth just led us through describes how the family of God is meant to work, and it uses the picture of us being like the body of, not Mr. Potato Head, but the body of Jesus, who will look a little bit like a potato this morning. So 3 quick observations. Jess is losing it at this point. 3 observations on what it means to be part of the body then. Firstly, being part of the body means being connected. It's no good just having all of the bits in a box or in a room together. A body is only a body when the individual parts are connected. And the point of Mr. Potato Head is that the different bits need to be put together. It's not just enough to have them all rattling around in a box. The fun comes when we start connecting. And it's the same for us as church. It's not enough to just rattle around in a room together once a week on a Sunday. The fun and the life really comes when we're connecting with each other in deeper and more meaningful ways, connecting with each other through the week and not just on a Sunday. When we're learning to really do life together. Part of my camping these last 2 weeks was at New Wine, and I filled in a kind of survey afterwards about what we most enjoyed about the week, and there wasn't a box and it surprised me, there wasn't a box to say, the thing I most look for in that week is being away together with church family. For me, that is by far and away the most important and significant thing about it, as we just do all of life together for that week of the year. And being connected as well, it goes across generations. There's something about being a multi-generational family where we have grandparents as well as children. We are all part of this connected family. Secondly, being part of the body means contributing. The reading said that we're one body with many members, and each member, therefore, brings something to the party. Mr. Potato Head comes with all of these different parts that you can plug in. You wouldn't want a Mr. Potato Head that only came with a bag full of feet, if you can make those out on the screen. It'd be rubbish. Each part brings something different. And again, it's the same for us as church. We each bring something to the family. Every one of us has a contribution to make to the life of the body. And the body, the family, doesn't function properly and thrive without our contribution. Again, at New Wine, we were able to look out for one another. We needed to have a rota for who was kind of getting the different tasks done so that we could all eat and make it to various meetings and sleep when we needed to, and all of that. And each of us in our different ways. It was perhaps most noticeable when we were putting up tents. You know, those with a bit more experience or those who knew that particular tent were able to help in those moments, looking out for one another, each contributing in different ways. As a family, we are not, thankfully, all eyes or all ears or fingers or thumbs, and that's a good thing. And so we therefore need to work out what our contribution is and share it. Whether it's welcome or cooking or visiting people or admin or cleaning or encouraging or teaching or working the tech or whatever it might be. What part do you play? What's your contribution to this family? And then thirdly, being part of the body means being committed. Later on in the passage we heard, it says that if one part of the body suffers, the whole body suffers. And so whatever happens to the body, whatever happens to this family, we're in this together. And every family has its tensions, its ups and its downs. The days where we fall out or where those annoying habits finally drive us up the wall. But as one body, we are committed to figuring those things out. The two arms of Mr. Potato Head could fight each other, right? I'm sure many, many kids have played that particular game. But when we look at the whole picture, Mr. Potato Head would just be punching himself. When one part of the body suffers, the whole body suffers. It's the same with sickness. If Mr. Potato Head had a pain up here, he could say, my ear has an ache. Maybe that's what happened to this one, I don't know. My ear has an ache, but he'd be more likely to say, if it was us, I have an earache. Because the earache doesn't only affect the ear, it makes him feel miserable. And it's not just his ear's responsibility to get that looked at and sorted out. It is his responsibility. Again, it's the same for us as the body of Jesus. When we fall out or when someone's hurting, we all suffer. And so we all need to be committed to loving one another. Connected, contributing, committed. I want to suggest in terms of a response, kind of the invited response this morning, there we go, is that we start with connection. If you're not a Christian here this morning, then maybe the invitation to connect is an invitation to join the body by choosing to follow Jesus. It is his body. Baptism is a public sign of that decision to become part of the body by following Jesus. That's what we're celebrating for these guys this morning. If you're already part of the family here at St. Matthew's, then I want to invite you to connect in some different ways. It might be you look around the room this morning and there's someone you don't know the name of, and connecting might look like finding them at the end of the service and asking their name. For others, it might be that you know their name, but you don't know much more than that. And maybe the invitation for you is to maybe swap numbers and check in with that person during the week. Maybe go for a coffee. Catch up with somebody outside of Sunday that you don't normally get to see. For others of you, perhaps the invitation is to join a life group ready for September when things pick up again. To become part of a smaller group where you can build those deeper, more connected relationships. Why don't we just ponder for a moment, what's the next step we need to take to build connection within the family? Let's pray and just be quiet a moment.